Makassar, sometimes spelled Makassar, Makassar, is the provincial capital of South Sulawesi, Indonesia. It is the largest city on Sulawesi Island in terms of population number and the fifth largest city in Indonesia after Jakarta, Surabaya, Bandung, and Medan. From 1971 to 1999, the city was named Ujung Pandang, after a pre-colonial port in the city, and the two names are often used interchangeably. The port city is located on the southwest coast of the island of Sulawesi, facing the Makassar Strait. The city's area is 19,926 square kilometers and it had a population of around 1.6 million in 2013. Its official metropolitan area, known as Makassar, covers an area of 2,473 square kilometers and had a population of around 2.5 million at the 2010 census. History. Beginning in the 16th century, Makassar was the dominant trading center of eastern Indonesia, and soon became one of the largest cities in island Southeast Asia. The Makassar kings maintained a policy of free trade, insisting on the right of any visitor to do business in the city, and rejecting the attempts of the Dutch to establish a monopoly over the city. The trade in spices figured prominently in the history of Sulawesi, which involved frequent struggles between rival native and foreign powers for control of the lucrative trade during the pre-colonial and colonial period, when spices from the region were in high demand in the West. Much of South Sulawesi's early history was written in old texts that can be traced back to the 13th and 14th centuries. Further, tolerant religious attitudes meant that even as Islam became the dominant faith in the region, Christians and others were still able to trade in the city. With these attractions, Makassar was a key center for Malays working in the spice trade, as well as a valuable base for European and Arab traders from much further afield. The first European settlers were the Portuguese sailors. When the Portuguese reached Sulawesi in 1511, they found Makassar a thriving cosmopolitan entreport where Chinese, Arabs, Indians, Siamese, Javanese, and Malays came to trade their manufactured metal goods and textiles for pearls, gold, copper, camphor and spices, nutmeg, cloves and mace imported from the interior and the neighboring spice islands of Maluku. By the 16th century, Makassar had become Sulawesi's major port and center of the powerful Goa and Talo sultanates, which between them had a series of 11 fortresses and strongholds and a fortified sea wall which extended along the coast. Portuguese rulers called the city Makassar. The arrival of the Dutch in the early 17th century altered events dramatically. They finally replaced the Portuguese as colonial masters in 1667. Their first objective was to create a hegemony over the spice trade, and their first move was to capture the fort of Makassar in 1667, which they rebuilt and renamed Fort Rotterdam. From this base they managed to destroy the strongholds of the Sultan of Goa, who was then forced to live on the outskirts of Makassar. Following the Java War, Prince Diponegoro was exiled to Fort Rotterdam until his death in 1855. The character of this old trading center changed as a walled city known as Vlaardingen grew. Gradually, in defiance of the Dutch, the Arabs, Malays and Buddhists returned to trade outside the fortress walls, and later also the Chinese. The town again became a collecting point for the produce of eastern Indonesia, the copra, rattan, pearls, trepang and sandalwood, and the famous oil made from bardo nuts used in Europe as girls' hairdressing, hence the antimacassars. Although the Dutch controlled the coast, it was not until the early 20th century that they gained power over the interior of the south through a series of treaties with local rulers. Meanwhile, Dutch missionaries converted many of the Toraja people to Christianity. By 1938, the population of Makassar had reached around 84,000, a town described by writer Joseph Conrad as the prettiest and perhaps cleanest looking of all the towns in the islands. In World War II, the Makassar area was defended by approximately 1,000 men of the Royal Netherlands East Indies Army commanded by Colonel M. Voren. He decided that he could not defend on the coast and was planning to fight a guerrilla war inland. The Japanese landed near Makassar on 9 February 1942. The defenders retreated but were soon overtaken and captured. Following the Indonesian National Revolution in 1950, Makassar was the site of fighting between pro-federalist forces under Captain Abdul Aziz and Republican forces under Colonel Sung Connor during the Makassar Uprising. By the 1950s, the population had increased to such a degree that many of the historic sites gave way to modern development, and today one needs to look very carefully to find the few remains of the city's once grand history. Economy. The city is southern Sulawesi's primary port, with regular domestic and international shipping connections. It is nationally famous as an important port of call for the pinisi boats, sailing ships which are among the last in use for regular long-distance trade. During the colonial era, the city was widely known as the namesake of Makassar oil, which it exported in great quantity. Makassar ebony is a warm black hue, streaked with tan or brown tones, and highly prized for use in making fine cabinetry and veneers. Nowadays, as the largest city in Sulawesi Island and eastern Indonesia, the city's economy depends highly on service sectors with approximately 70% from total share. Restaurant and hotel service are the largest contributor, followed by transportation and communication, trading, finance. Industry follows behind service with 21.34%. Contact with Australia. Makassar is also a major fishing centre in Sulawesi. One of its major industries is the trepang industry. Trepang fishing brought the Makassar people into contact with indigenous Australian peoples of northern Australia, long before European settlement. C.C. McKnight in his 1976 work entitled Voyage to Mirage, Makassar trepangers in northern Australia has shown that they began frequenting the north of Australia sometime around 1700 in search of trepang in edible holothurian. They left their waters during the northwest monsoon in December or January for what is now Arnhem Land, Mirage or Maregar, and to the Kimberley region or Kayu Jawa. They returned home with the southeast trades in April. In February 1803, Matthew Flinders in The Investigator met 6 perahus with 20 to 25 men each on board and was told that there were 60 perahus then on the North Australian coast. They were fishing for trepang and appeared to have only a small compass as a navigation aid. In June 1818, Makassar trepang fishing was noted by Philip Parker King in the vicinity of Port Essington in the Arafura Sea. In 1865, R.J. Scholl, then government resident for the British settlement at Camden Sound, observed 7 Makassar perahus with around 300 men on board. He believed that they made kidnapping raids and ranged as far south as Roebuck Bay, where quite a fleet was seen around 1866. Scholl believed that they did not venture south into other areas such as Nickel Bay due to the absence of trepang in those waters. The Makassar voyages appear to have ceased sometime in the late 19th century, and the place was taken by other sailors operating from elsewhere in the Indonesian archipelago. Transportation. Makassar has a public transportation system called Pete-Pete. A Pete-Pete is a minibus that has been modified to carry passengers. The route of Makassar's Pete-Pete is denoted by the letter on the windshield. Makassar is famous for their bikak, which are smaller than the bikak in the island of Java. In Makassar, people who drive pedicabs are called dareng. In addition to bikak and Pete-Pete, the city has a government-run bus system and taxis. The city of Makassar, its outlying districts, and the South Sulawesi province are served by Hasanuddin International Airport. The airport is located outside the Makassar city administration area, being situated in the nearby Maros Regency. In January 2012 it was announced that due to limited capacity of the current dock at Soekarno-Hatta Seaport, it will be expanded to 150 by 30 square meters to overcome queuing of at least 2 ships every day. A 35-kilometer monorail in the areas of Makassar, Maros Regency, Sungguh Nazar, and Takala Regency will be realized in 2014 with cost predicted Rp. 4 trillion. The Memorandum of Understanding has been signed in the 25th of July 2011 by Makassar City, Maros Regency and Goa Regency. Population. Makassar is a multi-ethnic city, populated mostly by Makassaris and Buginese. The rest comes from Toraja, Mandar, Buton, Chinese, Javanese, and so on. Current population of Makassar is approximately 1.5 million with a metropolitan population of 2.2 million. The city is divided into 14 districts, tabulated below with their 2010 census population. Climate. The Köppen climate classification subtype for this climate is AM. The average temperature for the year in Makassar is 81.5 degrees Fahrenheit. The warmest month, on average, is October with an average temperature of 82.7 degrees Fahrenheit. The coolest month on average is February, with an average temperature of 80.3 degrees Fahrenheit. The average amount of precipitation for the year in Makassar is 121.5. The month with the most precipitation on average is January with 28.9 of precipitation. The month with the least precipitation on average is August with an average of 0.6. In terms of liquid precipitation, there are an average of 187.0 days of rain, with the most rain occurring in January with 27.0 days of rain, and the least rain occurring in August with 2.0 days of rain. Main sites. Makassar is home to several prominent landmarks including the 17th-century Dutch fort Fort Rotterdam, the Trans-Studio Makassar, the third largest indoor theme park in the world, the Karaboshi Link, the first underground shopping center in Indonesia, the floating mosque located at Losari Beach. In addition, the Bantimurung, Bulusorong National Park, well-known karst area, famous for the remarkable collection of butterflies in the local area, is nearby to Makassar. Universities. Traditional food. Makassar has several famous traditional foods. The most famous is Koto Makassar. It is a stew made from the mixture of nuts, spices and selection of offal which may include beef brain, tongue and intestine. Conro rib dish is also popular traditional food in Makassar. Both Koto Makassar and Conro are usually eaten with borosar or ketupat, a glutinous rice cake. In addition, Makassar is the home of pisang epa, as well as pisang hijau. Pisang epa is a banana which is pressed, grilled, and covered with palm sugar sauce and sometimes eaten with durian. Many street vendors sell pisang epa, especially around the area of Losari Beach. Pisang hijau is a banana covered with green-colored flowers, coconut milk, and syrup. Pisang hijau is sometimes served iced, and often eaten on Ramadan. Metropolitan region. The metropolitan area of Makassar extends over 46 administrative districts, consisting of all 14 districts within the city, all 9 districts of Takala Regency, 11 districts of Goa Regency and 12 districts of Maros Regency. Makassar City 14 Kecamatan, consisting of Tamalinria, Bayangkanaya, Manggala, Panakukang, Talo, Ujung Tanah, Bontoala, Waho, Ujung Pandang, Makassar, Raporcini, Tamalate, Mamajang and Mariso. Takala Regency 9 Kecamatan, consisting of Mongarabombang, Mapakar Sungguh, San Robon, Polimbang Keng Selatan, Patalasang, Polimbang Keng Utara. Gaelsong Selatan, Gaelsong and Gaelsong Utara. Gower Regency 11 Kecamatan, consisting of Somber Opu, Bonto Maranu, Palanga, Barjeng, Barjeng Barat, Barombong, Manuju, Patalasang, Paranglo, Bontanompo and Bontanompo Selatan, and Maros Regency 12 Kecamatan, consisting of Maros Baru, Torikal, Maru, Mandi, Monkonglo, Bontoa, Lao, Tanralili, Tompo Bulu, Bantimurung, Simbang and Senrana. This official area covers 2,473 square kilometers and had a population of 2,225,048 at the 2010 census.